everyone. Are we good?
We have everybody now.
Okay. All right, let's call this meeting to order. The regular meeting of the Architectural and Design Commission, please come to order. The meeting is being conducted telephonically pursuant to Governor's Order N2920. All votes will be taken verbally by the recording secretary. Recording secretary, may we have the roll call and your announcement?
Commissioner Wiley?
Present.
Commissioner White?
Present.
Commissioner Fahey?
Present.
Commissioner Despain?
Present.
Commissioner Chant?
Present.
Vice Chair Bartlett?
Present.
We have a quorum. Normally, I would ask that the public speakers wait until they're called upon, but we have identified everybody on the call, so we don't have any public speakers for the meeting as of right.
So moving on to public business from the floor. The public may electronically participate in the meeting by sending comments to the recording secretary 2 hours prior to the meeting. Callers wanting to speak on the public comment portion of the meeting will be unmuted once we've reached that portion of the agenda. Comments will be read aloud. You said, do we have any emailed comments or speakers regarding public business from the floor?
We do not have any emailed comments.
We do not. Before we move on, emailed comments must be checked before we have any take action. We don't have any. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of August 6, 2020. Do we have any emailed comments regarding the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on August 6, 2020?
We do not have any emailed comments.
Okay. So do we move to adopt the minutes from meeting of August 6, 2020? I move that we do that.
I will second that, Adam Chant.
We can vote, please.
Commissioner
All
Wiley?
in favor?
I'm not sure if I made the last meeting, so I did.
I
Abstain if I didn't do it, but yes, I mean, I got a 9, so I forget.
Okay.
You were absent, Commissioner
Okay, then
Wiley.
I abstain.
Commissioner White?
I have to abstain.
Commissioner Fahey?
Approve.
Commissioner Despain?
Approve.
Commissioner Chant?
Approve.
Vice Chair Bartlett?
Approve.
Motion passes 4-0 to abstain.
4-0 to move
To
to approve the minutes?
Yes.
Oh, with 2 abstaining. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, let's see. Moving on. Next item on the agenda is Director's Review number 20106. Can we have the staff report, please?
Vice Chair Bartlett and members of the Architectural and Design Commission. Before you today is Director's Review number 20-106 for the approval of production home elevations for tentative track map number 60430. The project site is located on the northwest corner of 36th Street West and Avenue K and was approved by the Planning Commission on March 21st, 2005 for 85 single-family residential lots. Subsequent to the approval of the tentative map, the first phase of 16 lots has been recorded, and the map is being revised to connect Buena Vista Way through the track and to include a small community park. The applicant is requesting approval for the design of 85 single-family production homes. The proposed project includes 5 architectural style variations and floor plans. The square footage of the homes ranges from 1,280 square feet to 1,330 square feet, each with a 2-car garage. A total of 61 of the lots contain junior accessory dwelling units, and 83 of the lots contain accessory dwelling units. While the ADUs would have similar architectural styles to the main dwelling units, they are not part of this request. The track would also have a small community park, which would contain a community center building along with a pool and outdoor recreational areas. Off-street parking would be provided for the park facility. The proposed development is designed so that the front yard area emphasizes attractive residential elements. All production homes have a front porch with windows facing the street, providing distinct entries. These porches vary in size from approximately 75 square feet to 131 square feet. Additionally, all production homes have private backyards. The homes will vary in size and architectural style, but will still maintain a consistent theme and design quality. I'm available to answer any questions, and the applicant is also on the call and can answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions? Any commissioners?
Yes, is there any plans to, like what I saw, I guess, is there going to be an extension of this if this goes through to build more?
So this would build out this particular tract, and there's a similar tract by the same developer under construction now at 40th and K. There may be others similar to this in the future, but at this time, nothing's been filed.
Okay, thank you.
So I think I remember seeing this before, and I think our concern then is the same as my concern now. Well, first of all, so with this development, we're talking about 2 ADU units along with the main dwelling unit, correct?
That is correct. That's what's allowed by law.
And please remind us again why ADU units, and they're calling it a junior ADU unit. Why aren't we also discussing that under the plan for approval?
Because and Larissa can clarify this if I'm incorrect, but the ADUs are allowed by right. There is really no discretion involved in those ADUs under state law.
And that's correct, commissioners. The cities have very little authority over the accessory dwelling units, including the junior dwelling units. Those are, in theory, permitted over the counter. We do evaluate them as they come in. We do have a significant amount of applicants that apply for these almost daily, but we have very little control over what they, placement, even architectural style. We do have a little bit, of an opportunity with these types of developments, and the applicant has been very cooperative in that the design that they're choosing for the entire site and the primary units will ultimately match, and there's consistency throughout the development. But Ms. Swain is correct. There's really very little that even we as staff can do with ADUs and junior ADUs.
The other thing that I would add is that this development, including the ADUs, does come under the maximum lot coverage required by the code, and it does meet the setbacks required by the code.
So because it went through planning almost 15 years ago?
For the subdivision.
For the subdivision, but not, so since then, has there been any review? Has it been looked at again by the Planning Commission?
No, the subdivision is approved and needs no further review by the Planning Commission under planning and zoning and subdivision law.
I would my position on this is that I see problems with the parking. I guess you could it's called a two-car garage, but when you have 2 cars singly parked and a car parked, I'm just going by the one picture that I can see right now. I don't know how someone can open their door and get out, which means they're going to be driving onto the grass. It's very compact, and I can see parking on the street. So is there enough parking? Because that's where people are going to be, when they try to maneuver the inside car to get out, people are going to be parking on the street, similar to compact apartment complexes. And, ADUs are a great idea, but we've got 2 ADU units here. And I think this is going to be a very densely populated community. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of clarification. The roadways within the subdivision are to public standards. They're public widths, so just like any other subdivision, and they meet fire department requirements.
Okay.
So there is space to park on both sides of the street and drive down the street.
Very good. Thank you.
Are these homes stick-built or modular homes?
Ron, do you have an answer to that one?
These are, yeah, these
Could
are
you
not
repeat the question, please?
these are not modular units. These will be built from the ground up, correct, Mr. Mendoza?
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Thank you.
So I had a question. I hope the noise behind me isn't too loud. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two accessory dwellings, correct? So one that goes off the back of the garage and then another that's freestanding in the back of the yard. Is that correct?
Right. So under state law, there's two different types of accessory dwelling units, and every parcel is entitled or allowed to have what's called a junior accessory dwelling unit, which is attached to the main house, and then an accessory dwelling unit, which is a standalone structure. They cannot have two standalone structures on the property or two standalone ADUs.
Are there any restrictions or ordinances about how many people can reside in one property?
No, that's not, there isn't anything related to that.
There's not. So you could have 4 families living on this one property?
In theory, you could. There's really no, cities don't have jurisdiction over the amount of people that can reside in any one house.
About rental of the ADUs?
I'm sorry, what was?
I said, what about rental of the ADUs?
Same goes for rentals. I mean, that's really agreements between the landlord and the individual that's leasing or renting from them. You know, there's as a landlord, you can place restrictions on how many people occupy a unit, but the city does not get involved in limiting the amount of people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I foresee some issues with this, just with the amount of people that can be allowed. How big are these lots?
They're a standard subdivision, so I believe they're around 8,000 square feet apiece, between
Wow.
7,000 and 8,000. So
Tight quarters for a lot of people.
Yeah, and if I could just, I understand there's concern. This is a concern that a lot of cities and agencies grappled with, before the law went into effect around accessory dwelling units and, before the legislation took place. But, the only item right now that is before the commission for review are the elevations of the primary units. We don't really have any authority over this when it comes to how many people, how many units. Everything you see on the site plan is permitted by right. We don't have any authority to deny it. Really, the only focus right now is whether the commission thinks that the design of the architectural style is within compliance with the city's design guidelines. The density is not up for grabs, unfortunately.
Well, I think it should be noted that I feel it should go back to the Planning Commission because the other commissioners bring up a good point. Each living space ADU potentially could have 2 cars. Let's be honest, 2 cars for each, or a car for each person. So, I mean, we're looking at possibly an extra parking lot. I mean, this is a dense.
It is, and just to remind Commissioner Despain and the rest of the commission, this was not what you see right now in terms of buildings, the amount of buildings and building placement was not reviewed by the Planning Commission, and nor is it within the purview of the Planning Commission at all. The Planning Commission only reviewed and approved the actual subdivision of the lots many years ago. They approved the map to have the total number of lots. They don't review the buildings or the placement. That is an administrative by right approval that my team basically, I have the authority to approve that because it's state law has established basically the permissions to allow these units. So we cannot impose any additional regulation on junior ADUs or ADUs.
So this meets zoning codes then?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
When the ADU is eventually built, does that go back to your group, Larissa? Or
It does. It goes correct. So this
the ADU.
Correct. The approvals that the commission is looking at right now is for the elevation. So what the primary unit looks like. The accessory dwelling units come back to the Development Services Department for the permitting process. So it does come back to us, to our department.
I know this is probably outside of our scope, but has any ADUs been developed on the previous one that we approved at this point?
It's currently under, Mr.
It's under
Can you
construction.
give a status on just kind of where you are with the other site?
Hi, good evening. This is Phil. We're the project developer. Yeah, we've broken ground, and we're currently working on pulling the sewer permits so that we can start our sewer dry and wet utility work. Anticipated to be in the next week. I believe the city has signed off, and we're just working with the sanitation department for that. Anticipated in about a week or so, we should be starting the sewer. Grading has been completed. We do have rough grading sign off, and we're moving forward. Plans will go into plan check, I believe, in the next week or so. Plans should be into plan check, and we're anticipating starting vertical construction sometime in January in the new year.
I understand that we're just here to approve the architectural design, and I can appreciate this in a downtown tight-knit community. I can see the value for this, but I do not feel comfortable with this plan at all on a 8,000 square foot lot when we have plenty of land to spare out here. I just feel like people are going to be on top of each other needlessly in this plan. So I'm not comfortable moving forward with this myself, and I'd like to do a little more research on it.
And that's your call, Commissioner Bartlett. You can choose to vote as you wish. But again, I just want to remind you all that you're only looking at the elevations and you're only looking at the style of architecture for the primary building. Should you choose to, continue the item or not, the applicant still has a right to develop as appropriately. The buildings that are already placed on the site meet zoning. The city has already given them conceptual approvals on the site, and the only item is, again, just the style of the primary house. That is all that is before you this evening.
I would like to recommend that this goes to the Planning Commission for their review before it comes back to us. I feel like it should be there before it comes to us for this purpose.
The Planning Commission doesn't have a purview or a role in this matter. It's not a discretionary application, and therefore they are not the approving entity. The city is basically taking away a developer's right to develop by right. If we were to do something that goes to Planning Commission, that's not. It's not really a viable option. The commission can do as they wish. Again, you're all entitled to vote as you wish, but you're only voting on the style. If you choose to not approve, the applicant could, in theory, appeal your decision, but it would only be for the style. They still get the approval for the ADUs and the junior ADUs. That is not the item before you this evening.
So what you're saying is that the ship has sailed for the ADUs and the accessory ADUs in terms of the scope and the power within the architecture.
Correct, because
Commission, correct?
the state has granted them the right to these things regardless of the city's viewpoint. It's a by right use given to them by the state.
Okay, thank you.
And cities, when the law came down to the cities, there was conversations from the cities, and all of the municipalities in California, had an opportunity to voice their opinion, but nevertheless, the state did grant this as a by right development, and every homeowner in any community, in any single family, even multi-family zone, can in fact incorporate ADUs and junior ADUs on their property.
I can appreciate the need for it in the areas, where the population is dense and things are close together. I just am not a fan of that. When we have so much space, it seems needless to cram it all into a small lot.
I would agree with Chairperson Bartlett, and I think this exceeds the law of the ADU units for California. And I need to do more research on this as well. I think it should be under. I think the previous plan that we approved is one ADU unit per main home dwelling, correct?
Yes, it was.
And this one each has 2 ADU units. So I think this needs to be looked at further.
Commissioner, the design that is proposed does meet the ADU ordinance. I'm sorry, not the ordinance, the ADU legislation. Mm-hmm. And if you really go a little further, you will find that on a traditional single family home, you could in theory have more than 2, and in possible situations, you can have 3. Single family neighborhoods and lots are entitled to convert their garage as well. That is also permitted by right, where you could convert your garage, establish that as a unit, add an accessory dwelling unit, and also include a junior accessory dwelling unit for a total of 3 units. So there is, when you look at density, this is really slightly below what the maximum allowable density is on accessory dwelling units by state law.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
No.
No. Okay.
They have a management company you rent to.
So we're expected to take a vote on whether we approve this design or not?
Correct. The recommendation before you is that the commission approve the elevations for this particular application. It's the elevations for the primary unit and the style of architecture. That is the recommendation and the item that is right now within your purview. And for the record, you're not being asked to look at density. That's not part of this item.
But yet, if we
grudgingly move that we approve it.
Say that again, Commissioner Champ.
I begrudgingly approve that we move that we approve it.
And I begrudgingly second that.
Let's vote. Go ahead and take a vote.
Commissioner Wiley? You're on mute right now.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'll vote to approve.
Commissioner White?
Move to
Sorry, could you repeat that again?
approve. Move to approve.
Commissioner Fahey?
Approve.
Commissioner Despain?
No, I disapprove.
Commissioner Chant?
I approve.
Vice Chair Bartlett?
I disapprove.
Motion passes 4-2.
The next item is commission agenda and announcements. Larissa, do we have any updates?
We missed one item. There's still
Skip something, sorry. Site plan review 0311. Mitzi Alvarado.
Hi, good evening, Vice Chair and Commission. This item before you is a modification to Site Plan Review 03-11. So the request is to approve the floor plan and elevations for the modification of SPR 0311, which is an 80,000 square foot addition to an existing beverage distribution facility building. This project site is actually located near the southwest corner of Avenue H and Trevor in the heavy industrial. And to provide you with some background, this site plan review was originally approved on April 5th, 2004 for the existing facility of 57,375 square feet with a 4,000 square foot office and a 256 square foot trash enclosure, along with landscape and parking lot improvements. As mentioned, the site is currently operating as a beverage distribution facility. The proposed 80,000 square foot expansion includes approximately 72,280 square feet of storage and staging area and 7,720 square feet of their truck shop area. The applicant is also proposing upgrades to the existing trash enclosure for compliance with Lancaster Municipal Code, design guidelines, and state regulation. The building facades that face the street are articulated with gray and white painted concrete paneling along with windows spaced throughout the facades and spandrel glass faux windows on the diagonal fire-rated elevation of the building on the south portion. The trash enclosure will be updated to include a gray trellis cover with site obscuring non-combustible gates. So this next slide will be the color and material board close-up, and which is consistent with the existing colors of the building that is currently up on the site now. So in conclusion, staff recommends that the Architectural and Design Commission approve the modification to Site Plan Review 03-11. Sorry, that concludes staff's presentation. I'm available as well as the applicant for any questions you may have.
Any questions, commissioners? No.
No.
Then I move to approve the site plan review 0311.
I will second that.
Take a vote.
Commissioner Wiley?
Approve.
Commissioner White?
Approve.
Commissioner Fahey?
Approve.
Commissioner Despain?
Approve.
Commissioner Chant?
Approve.
And Vice Chair Bartlett?
Approve.
Motion passes 6-0.
Now moving on. Let's see. The next item is commission agenda and announcements. Larissa, do we have any updates?
We don't have any updates. We are looking at closing out the year pretty soon. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the year is almost over. We don't have any items that are on the forecast for your December meeting. We typically go dark in the last couple of months. So simply because, applicants are getting ready for holidays and staff is also getting ready to just close out the year. I think we would all agree that this year we are all ready to start a new year and end this one. So we are gearing for that. We don't have any items, so we will most likely cancel your December meeting. Your January meeting usually falls right at the first week of January. Chances are that one will also get canceled unless there are items that come in, in the next few weeks that get slated for January. We will let you know, but we try to be cognizant of that it is, just a couple days after New Year's, and we understand that people take time off and may not be available during the holidays. So other than that, those are the only updates that we have. The other item that just dawned on me right now is if the commission would like to have just kind of an overview of I see Commissioner Chant shaking his head. I think he knows.
I put it on my notes.
If the commission would like, an ADU 101, if you will, we can schedule that in the coming months. So that you understand what the legislation looks like, what the bills look like. We can gather that information for you so you don't go down, that rabbit hole. It can get a little complex, but it is very much, a by right situation that cities at first, struggled with it, admittedly. But, the governors have been, especially our current governor, Newsom, has been very much, pushing the housing legislation onto cities, giving cities very, very, very little authority over what, you can deny. Cities and local jurisdictions are not given really any opportunity to review. A lot of these are by right approvals. There's bills that keep hitting our desk about, by right development, quicker approval processes, and really virtually no approvals or no reviews on many applications. There's some bills out there that limit the city's ability to ask for anything. So when we do have opportunities to review and evaluate, we jump on that. So if the commission would like, we would definitely add that to our forecast and bring it back to you.
I know that's something I would like.
Sure.
I think it's a great idea and a good opportunity.
I would agree to that if we could get some of the other city officials to join us.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
For Commissioner, what do you mean by that?
Maybe some. Could we get the planning? Any of the planning directors?
Larissa.
Or what?
I'm already here. Would you like? Would you like our director? I'm trying to understand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
And again, our planning commission and even our city council had no say in the laws. It's not city ordinances. This is state legislation that came directly from the governor's office to cities. And basically they were told, city, here's your marching orders. You have no choice in the matter.
Wow.
I would like to clarify my position a little bit. I don't have an issue with the architectural and design component from the item in question. I thought it looked great. We're just coming to grips with the ADU situation. And while I'm all for removing legislation that slows down the manufacturing of homes in California big time, this is just, as the other members have said, it's difficult in this community with our land area to have such a high density in that area. And I would even, if I was a resident in that neighborhood, I'm a few miles away, but if I was a resident in the peripheral neighborhood, I would have concerns also.
I understand. There's cities have what's called the Regional Housing Needs Assessment, also known as the RHNA. Yeah. And cities are in the process right now of updating their housing elements only to focus on producing more housing. So if anything, communities, are going to get much more dense, whether I hate to say it like this, but whether we like it or not, every community is getting hit pretty hard on their units and the ability to zone for higher densities, regardless of it being a suburban or an urban community. That's not even a factor, really. Communities like Lancaster and Palmdale are getting hit with the need to plan for additional 9,000, 10,000 units over the next 7 years. So we have an obligation to respond to that. We have no choice. Doesn't mean you have to build it right away, but it does mean that you have to allow it by zoning and you have to plan for it. So
the units that you're speaking of, are those including the accessory dwellings or just the individual lot?
You could include the accessory dwelling units. The way that the regional housing needs is established, it basically provides you with, I'm just throwing the number 9,000 units that you have to plan for. And of those 9,000, there's very specific categories that a certain amount have to be within a certain affordability index. So of those 9,000, 2,500 have to be affordable, another 1,000 have to be very low income, median income, market rate. There's a criteria and an index that you have to follow. So you have to plan for, affordable housing. You also have to allow for different typologies. Accessory dwelling units, as I understand it, the state will allow for accessory dwelling units to be counted as, I'm not sure the criteria, but I believe they're being allowed to be counted as as either very low or some level of affordability. Forgive me, I don't have that at the top of my head right now, but they are being included as part of that whole 9,000 number. So,
Listen, you gave a great explanation of ADUs. I have a question. Yeah. So if a developer went out and acquired more land to space it out, couldn't they decide to try to maximize the space and put more houses and ADUs on that one land if they broke it up into separate parcels?
Well, these are the project you all looked at today are individual lots, and each individual lot has a house with an ADU plus a junior ADU. So I'm not sure. Is that what you're asking, Ms.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, these are individual lots that could be sold independently, and you have, you could potentially have one family and then, two other families, but these are single lots. Now, the developer right now, has the right to rent those out if they wish to do so, but they are in theory single lots.
Well, no, not single lots. So they're 8,000 square feet, right?
Right.
What's the maximum square feet? 7,000, 6,000?
No, so this property is zoned R7000, which means the minimum lot size is 7,000 square feet. So these individual lots that are part of this subdivision cannot get any smaller. They can't go and divide each lot in half to try and add more, because then it wouldn't meet the zoning for the area, which is R7000.
All right, thank you.
So just to come back full circle, we'll go ahead and add this, kind of introduction to ADUs for the next couple of months. We'll get it on the radar and provide you with an overview of what the law says. It's also changing, but we have months where it gets tweaked a little bit here and there to allow for more. It's evolving, and every time it evolves, we do lose our ability really to have any local control. So just want to remind you all of that. I hear and understand your concerns, but the governor's office doesn't necessarily call us to get our opinion.
He doesn't live here.
Yeah,
there's that.
Well, and it's every community. Every community is getting the same rules apply to every single city in California. So,
Wow.
there's no city that can get away from it. Cities have to either adopt their own ordinance that is in compliant with the state legislation, or basically revert to the legislation and do what the legislation says. We will ultimately be revising our ordinance. We allowed accessory dwelling units and guest homes before the legislation went into place, but the restrictions, in some instances, the city was much more strict than the legislation was. So when there is a discrepancy there, the state overrides the local city ordinances.
Do we have more of these coming in the pipeline soon?
None that are in the queue for the commission to review. We have accessory dwelling units that come into our office regularly.
But no projects, no other big projects that are coming in yet?
None like this that we have in our queue, nor any that we are aware of right now. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised if we do start to see more of these.
So if a developer presented a design and it didn't include them, is it for us to, I don't know if this is outside of our scope or not, is it for us to assume that because the square footage supports it, that could potentially happen in the future? So every plan that we see coming forward, even if there isn't an ADU on it, we should assume that little space in the backyard that would have been a swing set is going to be potentially an ADU, and the garage is potentially going to be an ADU, and then there's going to be a junior unit stuck off of that?
Sure. And it could be built out of cinder blocks and concrete.
Yeah, I read that.
That could very well happen because, again, it's a by right use. We aren't seeing any of the housing developers, like what you've seen before, like KB, Richmond American. We haven't seen any of those communities incorporate accessory dwelling units as of yet. But it's not to say that they couldn't, Commissioner. They would have a right, and we would have to allow it.
And if they sell them to a home buyer, the home buyer has the right to go and install those on their property also. And those individual ones don't come before the commission.
Wow. So, sorry, go ahead. Is there has there been any study as to whether that tract, which is directly not far from the college, whether there's going to be any impact on the traffic or because of the being so close to the college, is there going to be any impact on the traffic because of how dense those units are going to be?
That's not a requirement of the analysis. So in short, no, there isn't any analysis for that.
Gotcha. One thing I didn't ask is on the plan, did it show the street layouts yet, or it was just the individual units, right?
It had the plan did show the access points and the street layouts in concept. The final designs and the construction designs will be much more detailed when those are submitted to Building and Safety.
So how would the traffic be affected by, I'm concerned that each one of those units is going to have, there could be potentially one car per person, per adult living in that house, and then one adult so potentially five, maybe 6 cars per lot. Isn't that going to affect the traffic? And that's per lot. So I don't know. I feel like there's going to be some big problems with that.
And yeah,
there's nothing to do about it. Okay.
There's really nothing. We can't limit vehicles. We can't limit. I don't want to share this, but eventually I will. If you're a single family lot and you wish to convert your garage even if you're, you know, in a very, you know, suburban neighborhood, you could convert your garage and you don't have to replace your parking under state law. So that's.
I may or may not be doing that right now.
We have no ability to, you know, yeah. And people have a ton of cars, you know, and you convert them in. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really managing, you know, parking and that, you know, comes down to the neighborhoods and how you do it and where you park and tickets and parking enforcement. But there's no need for additional parking analysis with these types of projects because, again, we're not allowed to ask for a whole lot. You know, we've been very lucky that we have applicants like the one you saw tonight, that they've been cooperative and they've designed projects. We've asked quite a bit from them, more so than we normally do, or that we're, you know, that we're allowed to do. But, you know, we've had a lot of cooperation. And, you know, we've been able to get some cohesion in these sites. But other than that, we are very, very, our hands are very tied.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the designs look nice. So I say that.
Yeah. But we'll come back at a later date and provide you all with kind of an overview of what we, you know, what we can and cannot do, and you'll have a better understanding of what it looks like.
Any of the commissioners have any other questions or comments?
I do not.
Anyone?
No, thank you.
So do we have any emailed comments regarding public business from the floor and non-agendized items?
We do not have any emailed comments.
Okay, let's see. Do you want me to talk about the public phone lines being open, or?
We don't have to because all
okay.
But
okay. Let's see what else. That's it for that. So we stand adjourned to the next Architectural and Design Commission meeting, which says Thursday, December 3rd at 5 p.m., but that's probably not going to happen.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And Happy New Year.
The Senate party.
Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.